Everybody, Kevin back from Sticks and Stones. This right here is a little piece that we found during the walkabout. I think I'm gonna get the Fordham out. I just fixed it. I got a rough burr on. This is my only big cylinder bit that I have that's pretty decent yet. And that should take this down. So I'm probably going to put a face in here. The face will actually be down in here, but I'm going to start it up here a little bit so we can get some kind of hat and gnome face going. A little spirit face we'll do on this guy. And let me show you how this makes pretty short work out of this knot right here. And we'll cover with spirit on it.
Well, my camera shut off on me for a second. So when I cleared the wood to put this face on, it wasn't filming. Sorry about that. But what I did was I used that big bit to make a little spot to put the face, and then I drew a little face on them. And I'm going to use the same bit and kind of rough the face out here. And we'll just go from there, and I'll narrate. So I believe this right here is a big Typhoon bit. I still have some of those in my box, but this is pretty much one of the last ones that I have that I can rough out something this hard with. Like I said, I'm replacing a lot of bits at the moment. My bits are so old. I don't use this one too much. It's kind of big for doing this, but I need it because this little knot is hard as a rock, and it's a pretty aggressive bit, so I should be able to get some decent shapes in it and get it down to at least where I can get some of the smaller bits and shape them out a little. This is the knot, by the way, that I found during the last walkabout. The only thing I found. We just had a lot of rain, so I'm hoping that the river washed a bunch of stuff in, and we'll take another walkabout and see if we can find any more of these, because he did carve up pretty good. Now this video is not really going to be so much about teaching, because it's pretty long, and I really tried to do a lot of detail on this wood spirit, because I'm getting kind of bored doing some just basic wood spirits, so I wanted to make this little knot, since it's the only one I have. I'll put a little extra time into it and make them kind of nice. So I'm going to work on putting a lot of facial features in them, facial muscles, which actually make your wood spirit pop a lot better and be a lot more interesting than just kind of giving him, you know, his basic mustache and beard. So pay attention. I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this stuff, but pay attention to some of the facial lines that I put in and bumps in his face, like under the eyes and stuff. I really like to see how much detail I can get in a piece when I get serious about it. So I'll be drawing on the wood and stuff, and maybe you can pick up a few tips as you watch. Do like to give them big baggy eyebrows and try to get the eyelids to hang over a little bit. Big deep bags underneath. And I'll use whatever tools I have to. I'm picking through my box here. I got a lot of Dremel tools for now is what I'll be using on this. So it's going to be a long carve, so I am going to have to fast forward it after this small section here. Here I'm cutting underneath with the Dremel carbide cutter. Now this is my extra long shank. It cuts really good, but it's hard to control because it's so long. But on this knot, I'm going to need something like this to actually get through it. And I'm going to just try and keep some of the little details, because I do have an expression in mind. And I'm going to try and keep them by etching them in and starting to undercut a little bit around those eyebrows. And then we'll go from there. Just want to make sure I don't lose my lines. Don't have much room on this knot, so gotta see exactly how good I can keep the guidelines that I do have, but they're all going to be gone any minute. So I'll just draw on it as I go and take my time with this one. And hopefully we can come up with something pretty cool. This is going to be one of those long videos that you just watch. But I am going to do some more of these videos, and I'm going to go step by step. I'll draw the line and then I'll cut it, and I'll give you guys some really in-depth tutorials if you want to learn to do this type of carving. It's good for beginners and advanced alike, but if you want to improve your wood spirits and get a little bit more detail in them, to a lot of detail, then we're going to have to slow it down and try and teach you guys the process of how, I'll show you how I do one anyway. Alright, going to take some more of these spots down, especially above his eyebrows and in the forehead area with a rotary burr. And I want to take this forehead down a little bit. I want to get it down obviously lower than the top of the eyebrows so they stand up some. And then I'll cut those in more probably later. But boy, it's not as hard though. Hoping I can clean it up. I think this is a fur knot. I'm not quite sure. You never know once they sit at age. But boy, it's hard. Should hold some great detail if I can get the detail in. Got to get some more wood out from under the nose there. Try to keep his mustache, but I am going to have to get the nose to stand out. So this is a good bit for that. Not pressing too hard, trying to clean spots, trying to round over stuff and clean it, make it smooth, so once I get some of that top surface off, I can draw on it a little bit and see where I want to put my eye bags and whatnot. I slowly take it down. I'm not taking big chunks off at all. And I'll use this ball until I have the need to do something else. But whenever I can take care of it while it's in my hand, whatever I can use it for, that's what I'm doing. Like I said, it does start getting kind of long, so I do speed it up. And it won't be so tedious watching it for you guys. Okay, it's about as far as I'm taking this right now. Time to draw on here, so I have it out of the camera here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it and then wait till I'm back in the camera and you'll see what I drew on it. I think it's just an eyebrow. Okay, yep, it was an eyebrow. So now I'm going to get my little carbide cutter, okay, from Dremel, and this is a smaller one. I'm going to see if I can start taking some wood out and start forming that eyebrow. This will dig in pretty good, and I can really push it into this hard wood if I really want to. But again, I'm still going slow, and I'll do them a little bit at a time because, like I said, he's pretty hard, and I really want to make a decent face on this one. So here I am cleaning up with my knife, and then I go and I do the underside of his lid here. Same bit. It's just like a little cylinder type bit from Dremel. It's pretty aggressive, so if I need to cut and dig with it, I can. But I'm using it very lightly here, just to get that lower eyelid cut in. And right here, I'm going to be forming the rest of that eyebrow. Then we're going to come down and get some more detail underneath that with a little bit of a cheek. Same bit. As you can see, I did speed it up now. So I hope you can catch what I'm doing. Okay, now it's got a little bit of cheek in there, but I still need a little something to take this wood down a little faster. So I switched to the Cuts All tapered bit here, and now I can start taking a lot more wood out. And I want to start getting his mustache in there. I think I'm going to curl the mustache on this guy. We're going to make it curl up on both sides. And this bit's real aggressive, so if I need to take the wood down, it's not going to give me too much of a hard time. It'll take it off. It'll do the job, this bit. And slowly going around and making sure that that mustache is going to be where I want it to be, and getting more out from under the nose. Okay. Now for some reason I have this sideways, and right up in here I'm trying to get that nose, the top of the nose, to go under the eyebrows a little bit and clean it up on both sides of it. And in the corners by where the eyes are going. You really want to tuck your nose up under the eyebrows, and then we'll start sloping it back a little bit. Just, even though this is a real aggressive bit, taking it very slow. Okay, right here. Now I'm trying to cut the other eyebrow in, and what I'm doing is I'm using the little cone bit from Dremel and slowly reinforcing the lines that I already have cut and trying to make them deeper as I go. This is that little bit that burns if you press as you cut. But even on this, it's a little tiny sharp bit, but you gotta press pretty good into this knot. It's hard. Okay, back to the tapered bit. Let's see if we can get a little bit more wood out from underneath those eyelids there in the corners and try to get that nose to come down a little more. Like I said, you can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want, but when I'm doing a detail carving, I definitely slow down, and I use just the tip of this bit, and I'll use the side of it for smoothing. There's still a lot of darker wood that I'm cutting through here, and a little at a time I'm trying to shape this just the way I want it. Still not the best wood, but once he's carved in, it's going to stay forever because it's so hard. You know, you put detail and stuff like this, and it becomes an heirloom. You know, this thing will just stay on the wall forever and not really change after 30 years. Back to the cone bit. Trying to dig out more and get up underneath those eyebrows. It can be meticulous, but believe me, I'm having fun. I'm just enjoying my day, just relaxing and doing a little at a time and looking at the carving and seeing exactly where I want to go with it. But to watch it, I watched this video when it was done, or some of my videos when they're done, not this one, because I'm making it at the moment, but they put me to sleep watching them. So I know long videos tend to be good for some people, and other people, they just start clicking right through it to see what you ended up with. I understand that, because it's hard for me to sit and watch a whole video like this. But I am showing you the whole thing and what I did to come up with this knot, the face that I got anyway. Okay, now I got a little gouge. I'm trying to take some wood out underneath the bags of the eyes, and again, using the tool in spots that I think need it the most. Sometimes I just want a little bit different look than the tools that I have as far as power are allowing me. So I'm trying to take some wood out to form an eye bag underneath where I'm going to put the eyes. I know he's out of the camera there. Sorry for a minute. He'll be back in soon. Now I'm going to take that the eye lid, and I'm trying to extend it down so it's a little longer and more pronounced. I like to exaggerate features on these guys. Gives them a lot of character. And if you can get more and more muscles in your face... Whoa, what happened to that clip? It got awful small. I don't know what happened there. My camera must be raised up. But I'm pretty much doing the same thing. I'm going around with the little cone bit, and I'm cutting the forehead in a little bit so I can form a little tufts of hair on the top. And I'm trying to dig in around the sides of the face and around those eyebrows at the top. Don't worry, I'm sure it'll get big again soon. I'm just going around and darkening some stuff in, taking more wood out around the mustache, things like that. Again, this is a great little bit for when you want to do detail, but I'm actually trying to cut the really fine lines that I'm going to have in this guy with this little bit. There are better bits out there, but I don't have any in my box right now, so... Okay, here we go. He's a little bit bigger. Still using the same bit, and I'm trying to get that mustache to curl up here, and that's what I'm doing. See that little curl there? So I'm trying to pretty much get a stop cut in there and get that put in. Then I'll take my knife and I'll pop those chips out to the stop cut and go around the edges. I'm trying to stand that up so it's definitely going to be noticeable, and it's not just flat on his face, but it's actually deeper on the sides, and trying to get that curl to be nice and pronounced so it'll show in the carving. And if I got to use this little bit again to get my stop cut, because I definitely can't push in too good with my knife into this knot, that's for sure. So that's pretty much how I'm using that little cone bit for this. Making a stop cut to go around it, and then trying to remove the wood with my knife. Yeah, this is a hard knot, that's for sure. Still one of my favorite things to carve, though. I mean, they're a lot of work, but you really can't beat the results you get when you carve a nice one. And they're very unique because every knot is shaped different, and every knot gives you a different result. So the faces and characters you can come up with when you carve these things they're unbelievable. I think they're some of the most interesting carves that I've done. Most of them have been on pine knots. Of course, I love my cottonwood bark too. Cottonwood bark definitely is one of my favorite things to carve. My favorite characters that I've carved, though, I believe, have been out of knots. Pine knots usually, fir knots. Anything that's got a unique shape to it. Okay, now here I'm adding some more muscles in the face. Right, I'm shading with my pencil to where I'm going to cut, because I want to put secondary smile lines on this guy. Not just your regular mustache lines, but I want some parts of the face a little higher and a little lower. So right here, like under the nose, I'm going to take that out. But above that and right under the eye, I'm going to take out wood too. So he's going to have this layer of fat, kind of. You know, when you smile or you smirk, there's certain parts of your face actually crinkle up and hang over, you know, the other parts of the face. And that's what I'm trying to achieve here. So when you see the end result, hopefully it'll be apparent when we finish the carving. And it's a matter of just taking out wood in strategic places. Like I said, I'll go through this in a tutorial if you guys want to learn to do this. It's a little longer process, it's a longer carve, but definitely a more interesting face. Okay, we're going back to a rotary burr, but this right here is a steel burr from Dremel. It's just a steel ball, it's fluted, and it's gonna kind of hone everything and smooth everything down without doing major cutting. And I like to go around the carving with this, and it'll actually round the sharp corners and hopefully clean some spots that are just looking a little bit too dirty yet. If it's dug up in places from the cutters, you know, I'll use this little ball bit and I'll smooth everything over with it. I've shown you this in other videos. It's my kind of cleanup burr. I can round over stuff. I can cut with it if I push, but if I push too hard on something like this, it'll leave burn marks. So I'm just lightly going over it and making sure the sharp edges are off some of the cuts that I made, especially on the eyelids and the eyebrows. It's good for rounding off the nose too. And I can smooth those eye bags, and then when I put detail on them, it'll be a lot easier. Again, sorry that it's such a long video, but hopefully you're seeing some of the things you go through when you want to make a carving like this. And there's a lot of tools I'd use. It's not always this slow. Sometimes you can just blast them out. I mean, some of my funnest carvings have been real quick carves, but this guy's so hard, and running kind of low on walkabout wood, so I'm going to take my time and make sure I can make them decent for you. At least come up with a decent piece that I can sell later on. It is Christmas time. You can also use this bit to start putting the hair in the beard, because if I do press on it, I will get some nice gullies, and I like to break up the beard and start shaping some of that while I have it in my hand. It's good for rounding off mouths and lips. And down in here, like right here, if I start pushing a little bit, you'll see it does start taking some of that wood out. And I can start shaping some beard hair. Because you're definitely not going to have an easy time trying to run a V-tool through this unless I get the mallet out and I put this guy in a vise and I whack away at it. So what I want to do is kind of have wavy lines and start shaping the flow of the hair, and that's what I'm using this for right now. I could use the Kutzel rotary burr that's a lot more aggressive, but I'm just doing it here so they'll be subtle. They won't be as deep as I want to make them, but on this guy, with the depth I'm going to get in the face and everything, it'll be sufficient because I don't want to do too much digging down on the bottom here. I'm just going to let that all flow right off the wood the way he's naturally flowing already. Now I got to figure out what kind of mouth I want to put in here. Shaping some teeth at the top. He's not going to have a really big, wide open mouth, just enough to give him some expression. He's going to kind of be smiling, but at the same time, the eye features I'm going to give him, he's going to have a look that's not really a happy look. It's just kind of a inquisitive look, kind of like he's looking at you questionably, I would say. You know, if he comes out the way I want anyway. I like to make wood spirits and give them expressions that if you do pick one up and you look at him, you kind of don't know what he's thinking, or you're wondering what he's thinking, or he's got an expression that makes you think something. If you can make him expressive enough, then you've done your job as an artist. When people pick them up and they look at them and they actually have a personality to them. And he just doesn't look like, a carving that I just quick blasted out and, yeah, there's a face in the wood, He's actually going to have some personality. And that's what I'm going for with this carve anyway. And again, that all depends on the way you do the eyes, and especially the eyebrows. And whatever kind of features you decide to put in, age lines and different creases. All of it comes together and gives him its personality when it's all done. Trying to round off the top here a little bit better so that forehead goes up and under. You want a pretty smooth transition from the forehead up to the top. Still trying to get kind of a crease in between those eyelids too. This doesn't take much off, but it's definitely one of the better bits I can use on a piece of hardwood like this. Just smooth everything over, and if I do have to take more wood off, I can take it down a little at a time so I don't overcut and overdo it. Basically, I want to take those sharp edges off of everything and kind of blend everything together. Let me smoothen up a little bit. Another good thing about this bit is I can put little ridges in the eye bags, okay? Just by running it across and digging a little bit deeper, I can take that little bit of wood out and I can actually put detail in with it. As far as waves and little gullies, like on his cheeks and on his eye bags, if I want, I can get those little extra layers of fat that I'm looking for by just making one part lower than the part above it, to give him that look that I'm going for, where his facial muscles are actually a lot more pronounced. So I want you to take notice really on the face and the way some spots are lower than the other, how it makes those facial features pop out if you do have different levels going from the top all the way down, instead of just one level from the top of his face to his mustache. I gotta try and get these teeth and this mouth going, and I'll probably be using this bit a lot also to round off the lips and everything after I carve the mouth in all the way, which I will be using a different bit for. Little at a time. Like I said, I use the bits that are in my hand to go as far as I can. Now this is the next bit. This is kind of, I call this one my electric pencil. It's aggressive enough that I can get a little more depth with it. I can shape the nostrils and the nose with it. I can put the mustache hair in with it. Just kind of a long file-shaped burr from Dremel. And it's got like kind of a rounded end, so I can almost draw with it like a pencil and be a little more accurate with it, but it's not that thin, so I can't like go inside the eyes and stuff with it, but I can get those little extra lines that I'm looking for. Like right here, I'm actually giving him a little bit of lines going down on those bags, and I can get underneath the cheeks a little better with it. I can also get in that spot right where the mustache curls with this, just because of the bullnose shape of the bit, and try to hone that out a little bit better too. And right here I'm undercutting the beard. Like I said, switch, mix and match your tools. You'd be surprised how many different bits do different things. So you should know everything that's in your box and what it does. Even if you got to practice on scrap wood, I highly recommend that. So definitely know what each one of your bits does before taking it to your carving. That way you don't end up with a cut that you're surprised with and it ruins the area that you're cutting. You don't want to put the wrong bit inside an eye, for instance. Blow out your whole eye. I can get in with this bit pretty good in around the face, and I can even add a little extra pieces of hair if I want. But you'll see how I use it to do the mustache, because that's what I'm planning on doing. It should work pretty good on it. See that little extra piece of fat right there underneath that cheek? Those are those little, right there. Those are those little extra bumps and pieces of flesh that I'm talking about that really make your carving pop. That a lot of us don't add to our carvings when we're, we're on a roll and we're carving and we're making a wood spirit. But little things like that, if you can keep in mind, you can really make your carving a lot more interesting, give them a lot more character when you're doing things like that. So, like I said, if anything from this video, I hope you take away a couple of little extra things that might help improve your wood spirits and make them look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more aged, give them a little bit more character. I could do a lot with just this bit and go around the whole carving and probably make a carving with just this bit. Any one of these bits you can probably make a whole carving with. Depends on how much detail you want to put in, but I mix and match a lot of bits. Right here I'm using this one to try and get the mustache hair in. Give myself ridges anyway to start shaping the hair. And if I need to deepen these, I'll use the little comb bit or carbide cutter, a cylinder bit or something. Sometimes waves like this insinuate enough hair and do the job. It depends on what kind of finish you're putting on it. That seemed to work pretty good. I'll probably use this bit to do the mustache. When you're doing hair like this and following your mustache, a lot of people, what they do is they go straight down and just do straight lines on the mustache. I like to kind of follow the flow of the mustache. So as I go and I carve, I'll start curving those lines a little bit. Sometimes I take a little wood out underneath that cut too. But right here, you want to start curving those a little bit. You don't want to just go straight down. Follow the flow of the hair, or what the hair would do. See that little extra line there underneath those cheeks? That's a secondary smile line. Right there, I just dug in. That's one of those extra little bumps that I was talking about that you could put into a carving that really gives him a lot of character. Instead of just having, just a mustache. One mustache line, you actually have a little more flesh there. And it's lower than the flesh that's above it. And it really starts making the face come alive. Just like under his eye there. He's got a bag, then he's got another big piece of fat hanging under that. Then he's got a lower layer of skin underneath those cheeks right before the mustache starts. And they're all different levels, and it makes the carving, the face of the carving, really pop and look interesting, and I like to add a little paint to these type of carvings also. Sometimes I'll put skin tones together and play with paints, and this isn't really the best looking wood if I would just polyurethane it, so I'm probably going to give it a wash of different acrylics and give it a more golden wooden look, and I'll use paint for that and paint his eyes a little bit and maybe his teeth. I'll keep them pretty simple, but you'll see when I'm done. I'll show you a picture at the end of how he comes out. Let's hope he comes out pretty decent. So far so good. He looks like he's shaping up. And try to get up in them nostrils a little bit better. This bit. Yeah, don't underestimate a little bit of paint. And when I say paint, I don't mean dip your paintbrush in paint and just slather it on. I usually water down acrylics and then to the point where they're very, very light, and I'll apply 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 washes on one piece or one area and build up my color a little at a time. That way I'm not overpainting. You can also take sandpaper and sand some off. I brushed it off with coarse brushes, and you got to play with them and treat them like they're a piece of art, because that's really what you're making here. This is art. So anything you have to do, even though it's a carving, that doesn't mean you just got to put a finish on it and say, oh, it's a carving. Add a little bit of paint. Give him character. If you got to put makeup on him, do it. Get the look you're going for. I've had a lot of times I don't like putting paint on wood. Other times the carving wouldn't have been what it was without it. So experiment. You're an artist. Wood carvings can have color. I don't like the color of his face right now, so I know I'm going to be adding some color. Right here I'm actually putting some lines that I wouldn't usually do in a regular carving when I'm just doing a wood spirit and I'm just going around. Most people would do the eyes and okay, you're done. I'm actually putting a lot of extra lines in those eyes, almost all the way to the eyeballs, even some in the eyeballs. Okay, now I'm going back to the comb bit. You see how small that is? Still trying to get those lines the way I want them and separate those eyebrows from the eyelids. And I really want them to stand out, so if I'm not happy, I'll do it again. Like I said, I was really taking my time with this. It was pouring out. Had nothing better to do. Had one knot. Want to at least make a decent carving on it. So I'm taking my time and really trying to detail him up and do a decent video for you guys so you can see how much work you can actually put into a carving or how much extra things you can do that make him look just a little bit more above bar of what you usually do. And if you're not happy with it, keep working on it. Yeah, he's starting to look interesting. I found over the years when I carve that artwork is never really done. It's abandoned. I think Dan said that to me once. He heard an artist say that, a pretty famous artist. I don't know who he meant, but he's absolutely right, my friend Dan. Because I could look at a carving that I've done and never be finished. You always see something wrong with it. You will always want to work on it. So sooner or later you just got to call it and say, okay, I'm done, because you're never going to be happy with it. So artwork's abandoned, but never really finished. Now I'll take this little cone bit and I'll go around the nose and make sure I get those wings of the nose nice and defined, and all the little spots that I have carved in. I'll reinforce my lines here that I have carved in and give them a little bit more of a really fine line inside those cuts to make that stand out when I do put a wash over him, because I want to kind of make him look like a golden wooden color when I'm done. Now, since this video is so long, I'm definitely not going to be showing the paint process, but that'll be for another time. But I will show you the finished piece when I'm done. And I'm just using this little comb bit to go around and make sure that I get enough shadow and undercuts in those lines that when I do put any kind of paint or finish on them, that they'll still stand out. Yeah, we gotta put teeth in this guy yet. And that's perfect for this little comb bit, especially with something this hard. Trying to dig out the corners of that mouth pretty good, and underneath the mustache give me some shadow, and I gotta try and make sure those corners of the lips get up and under there. Undercut the lip a little bit so he stands out. I gotta try and take out some wood underneath those teeth and inside the mouth. It's not, like I said, it's not gonna have a really wide open mouth, but it's gonna have to be enough that you can see the inside of his mouth too. And right here I'm putting the teeth in with this bit. Just a couple lines straight down, enough to separate 2 or 3 teeth. Yeah, he should be interesting to look at when we're done. I did want to make his mouth a little more slanted, but I had a little piece break off on me. That's okay, we can still work with this. Right up in here, I broke a little piece off. On the bottom, not on the top. Right in there. Still trying to deepen some of those beard lines. Back up to the eyes. I'm going to do some eyebrow lines here with this little bit. Take some wood out up there and start a flow going. Undercut some of them bags and cheeks. Any place that needs a little more depth, a little more shadow, a little more detail, I'll go around this thing. Like I said, sooner or later I just gotta call it and abandon it, because I'll just keep doing this forever. It's already making my video too long, sorry. I know it's tedious watching, if you're still watching at all. I'm sure some people have already clicked at the end to see what he looks like when we're finished. But they don't make themselves, right guys? Somebody has to take the time to make one. Unfortunately, I can't fast forward through the carve when I'm carving him. Now, I can make the video do that, but there's so many clips to do this guy. This guy took me a couple hours, actually. Back up to the eyes again. Always on eyes. I even like to try and give him some extra wrinkles. Excuse me, extra wrinkles in his nose. And sometimes I'll bring them right from the eye and into the nose. I'm not doing it here at the moment, but I'll show you that technique in another video also. And that leaves a pretty interesting look too. Just trying to undercut some of that beard here yet. If it's not deep enough, and I know it's not going to be when I'm going to put some paint in there, I'll just make sure I recut it. And I really want that mustache to stand out, so I'll constantly be going around that. And I'm constantly going up and refining the eyes. Because again, it's coming out very slow. It's a very hard knot. Some wrinkles in the forehead. Pretty much just look around, and like I said, every time I turn them a certain way, I see other parts that I haven't carved or that I want deeper or more pronounced. You can kind of get lost in the carving process and forget your whole day. Okay, now I'm going to sand them down. Try and clean up some of those cuts and see how much I actually have to clean this carving up before I put any paint on them, and what else I have to carve before I do it. I like to stop and then rub them down now and then with a piece of 220 and see what kind of progress I have and what else I have to do to it. I think I'm going to like the expression on this guy. He should look interesting once I paint him. Still dirty in spots, still chunky in spots. Needs some cleaning. Gotta love this hardwood though. Now that one eye made a little deeper than the other, but I could fix that with paint. That left eye kind of broke out on me. Whoa! Don't know what that was about. But looking at it, yeah, he looks okay. That one eye's a little messed up, but we can fix that with some paint. See, it's really dug in there. Okay, let's see what we can do when we paint him. And I really didn't dig his nose too far in either. Okay, let's see what happens here once we put paint on him. I'll show you a picture. Alright, so this is what I ended up with. I had mixed up a bunch of different paints to get a golden color, and I like the patina he's got. And I put a little bit of paint on his eyes, that's it, just a little bit of white, a little bit of black, and a highlight on the inside. And I went inside his mouth with some black acrylic, very little, and outlined his teeth a little bit. I put a wash over his beard. I put a little bit of black for shading underneath the cheeks and everything to make the mustache stand out a little bit better. And down inside the mustache there. So I like him. I like the result we got with him. Anyway, that's how I do a more serious carving. Sorry it was so long. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see everyone in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.